And what would you like people to know about you?
I'm a fun guy. Obviously, I love the game of basketball. I mean, it's just more questions you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about myself. I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
He's right.
Go back to Treasure Island!
What the rock is cooking.
Recording live from count 'em 3 locations.
This is Past the Rock.
I am Patrick, a man who was told this week I resembled Charles Manson. Joining me, as always, 2 other great men. Caesar, a.k.a. LC's.
Hey, I'm finally in here. Let's go. That first one was a little premature, but it's like we said off camera. I always come first, so we had to start the show off with me.
He actually did say that. And Jacob, a.k.a. Bethke.
And I don't know canonically which serial killer I would look the most like. I think as long as you don't get John Wayne Gacy, you got to feel decent about it.
I guess it was funny though, the immediate in a good way. I don't even know when they're talking.
No, people say the darndest things because imagine that just coming out of your mouth to anyone. Be like,
no, but at that place I've heard so much worse, and yeah,
that's
probably a nice middle of the road for there.
Also, a fantastic pull there for the clips in the topics.
Look, man, there's themes, and some of them fit better than others. I didn't have a lot for what our 2 breaking stories of the day were going to be. So one was easier because there's a lot of clips, but the other one was a little tougher to figure out for me. But yeah, so instead of going over, as we have been, whatever came out in music, we've had some pretty big stories drop today.
No offense to Mr. Badass.
No offense to Mr. Joey Badass or any of the people that I didn't recognize the name of who released albums over the last week.
Probably some old heads dropping too.
No,
yeah, I don't know. It was no one I'd really heard of on anything new. But anyways, we'll get to the first of the big-ish stories. Probably
this
affects
is a big
more
one.
people.
This is a fun one.
But we do have, I think Jacob's going to have a little bit more on the details. But supposedly, the for free sports streaming site StreamEast has shuttered and will no longer be. This is the choice of many people, like LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean, most notably at this point, but there's a lot of people who have been busted at this point for StreamEast or some other like product.
How NBA players don't have League Pass just built into the CBA is silly.
They definitely do. I would think that the problem is that they're probably
was it blacked out where he was?
Honestly, that is a funny possibility. And then because I have absolutely 100% pirated a game because my cable package plus my NBA League Pass did not cover said basketball game. Okay. And that is a hilarious
good thing they're
statement.
fixing all that.
Yeah, right. And this is part of a big conversation with that. Charles Barkley made a little bit of headlines on Bill Simmons' podcast talking about it. I do feel like just like all products, unless you only love Disney or you only love Marvel, or I guess those are the 2 same things now or whatever. But at this point, whatever DC, whatever your thing is, all these different streaming services are making life much more difficult for us to actually consume things legally, which is how I would like us to actually start this.
And it's still baffling me that these leagues aren't taking their own ownership of it.
Well, that I think is fear. I think it's fear-based.
With these guys, Dallas Stars, they've got their own, and they brought these guys on.
Partially, my thought is, why is it the Stars? Why is it the Rangers? Why is it what is it about these things that make them more likely to do it than the Dallas Cowboys?
And again, hockey's obviously
NBA.
Hockey's a little different just because their media rights deals are not NBA and NFL media rights deals,
Exactly.
So that's fair. But the Rangers, the MLB is.
Necessity is the mother of invention, and I think that's why these leagues are going to be the forefront of the future of sports streaming, because they're going to need to do this model to make things work for them. The NBA and the NFL, I think, to put it nicely, are belaboring the future because it doesn't make financial sense for them to move
I guess
forward.
they're saying as long as the money's still over there, we'll take it, and then we'll figure it out when we can't do them anymore.
What is the NBA signed like an 8-year deal or something like that, or like 10 years? So by the time that deal is up, they're probably not re-signing a similar package. That might be when you actually launch the NBA streaming app or whatever. And same for the NFL, because in a decade, we probably won't have RSNs at all. We probably won't have, there probably will be a lot.
There will be one though, the Ranger Sports Network.
I mean, yeah, right. There will be the Rangers Sports, and
that's what they're calling it. So
the regionals. Yeah, I guess I should be more specific. The regionals look like they are going to, it's going to continue to be the bad news in that category, and it looks like that's going to continue until it's basically gone. I don't know. Maybe there's certain sports or things that save these.
To be fair, I mean, the Yankees have had the Yes Network forever, which it's over the air, but they do own it, and Fenway does Fenway Sports, I believe, or NESN. Maybe.
And you have a lot of different options. Like in LA, the Spectrum is who has like all the rights to Lakers, Dodgers, and there's a lot of good content. I mean, they have their own channels on some of their stuff free. It's literally just Dodgers crap 24/7, Lakers 24/7 crap. And so naturally, you would think with those being bigger teams, obviously it can draw. But I think you can even get similar use out of Kansas City Royals, the Cincinnati Bengals, whatever. But we'll see. So StreamEast has been taken down. And not only has it been taken down like it has in other times, it has been taken down and has been since replaced with a anti-piracy ad, basically, and a where to watch safely ad, or ethically, whatever they want to
give your
it.
Money to ad.
Right. And this is being done by the Alliance for Creativity and Entertainment, and they are led by the Motion Picture Association. And they are global. And it seems like a lot of this is being spearheaded by people upset about streaming soccer, which makes the most sense because I would have to guess globally, that's probably the biggest fish to fry. So this is what it leaves us. And it leaves us with StreamEast being the first one taken down. And it almost seems like the calling of a shot to the future. We'll get to that and the reality of that, but there's 2 men arrested in Egypt. And then the CEO's statement was, with this landmark action, we have put more points on the board for sports leagues, entertainment companies, and fans worldwide. And our global alliance will stay on the field as long as it takes to identify and target the biggest piracy rings across the globe. So this more or less sounds like, and I compared it to the group, it kind of sounds like Bush era, like Bush Jr. era America right now, war on terror propaganda. Like, we're coming for the unwinnable war, and even though we know it's unwinnable, we're gonna just be loud about it.
The difference is that would have been like if they just went and just immediately nuked like London or Moscow, or
I mean, taking StreamEast down and arresting the people, seizing funds.
That might be the easiest one because of how big it is, though. Like, it might be a lot more difficult on.
Well, this is as far as I'm aware, this is the most serious. Like, this is the most serious legal attempt to actually.
Well, yeah, and I'm saying I think this happened because StreamEast accidentally got too big.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, it's interesting to find what's the next Hydra, and again, unfortunately, to tie it to the war in the Middle East, in the war on terror, as it was labeled here, is it was sort of this fallacy that most people predicted, and then actuality came about, where the more you create unrest in that case, the more heads popped off instead of decapitating. They grew like a hydra.
Yeah, it's South Park's Mexican Joker.
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, you're here for it. You're here for the long haul. This is not going away. They clearly state that because they targeting the biggest piracy rings. They understand this is going to keep happening. This obviously being a part of the Motion Picture Association, they're thinking about it from their point of view as well, which is the most terrifying because sports is one thing, but this is also Netflix and stuff now, right?
Yeah, I would say the sports have more to lose though because it's a real time thing. Like these sites don't have like archived previous games for you to watch and stuff like that. So it's that's where a little bit of a difference is because sports is a very in the moment thing to watch, which might I don't know if that made it easier or more difficult to catch them. I would assume easier because they're not storing it beyond where it can be found again.
Well, we're also like at least a decade behind the 8 ball on these sites, like being a major part of it. Not necessarily existing, but like being a major part of an ecosystem. I feel like more.
It seems weird that I would have found them and they not be like. I don't think I was on the cutting edge of finding. These sites.
So I think these really got real popular, and I'm sure most of us have had this. And I know there was some other fallout from this I never followed, but the jailbreaking Fire Sticks, right? Everybody in college jailbroke a Fire Stick. It was the cheapest way to basically have everything for free. And that's what we did. And we would have StreamEast or whatever just ready to roll. And, it sucked, dude, because it was a crappy little app that, sometimes you had to like aim the thing and then the thing would crash a lot. It was terrible at fights because everyone tunes in for moments and, instead of the long haul thing. So yeah, they're funny. They're not perfect. And a lot of people were joking because StreamEast, they don't even think is the best one anymore, which is fair. So I think it is just funny how simple got the most
reach. Yeah.
I mean, I was watching StreamEast on like Home Depot computers back of the house, chilling,
Yeah.
Like, and imagine how many people would do this.
If you had a laptop or a desktop, you could do this.
Yeah,
and probably at least 2 decades now.
For each one that they take down, another two is going to pop up in its place. Like you said, at Hydra.
It's almost like a rite of passage because then you also have to learn how each one of them works, where to click.
And also, this isn't the first time that StreamEast has gone down. If memory serves me correctly.
No, but this is why we're talking
it's
about
like
it.
Broken
this is
connection. They don't have like a screen in place to be like, haha, we got them.
Yeah, this one is. We're talking about this because this is. What was it? Eric Adams just did this recently. This is a perp walk. Eric Adams did it whenever they got Luigi in town. Back in town, they perp walked him and made it this big deal, and that's what's happening right now. They're perp walking StreamEast right now, more or less. I mean, I don't think we actually know who these guys are, but we know they're assumed 2 Egyptian guys who have been primarily running this. I don't know how many people in total.
I'm excited to get a further, more detailed length story of the investigation because I'm just fascinated by how you figure it out. And
I would imagine that there's going to, well, that's the interesting question. Is there going to be more about it now? Or is this going to be something that people don't really care about until they start cutting off multiple heads, and still until blank blank is gone or blank is gone or whatever,
I wonder if there are countries where you can do this from where they're going to be like, nah, you can't tell them not to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like tech is difficult, dude. Like hackers and cybersecurity, they are neck and neck most of the time, right? Because they both progress almost boom, 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 boom.
They just get fired from one, go work for the other.
I think ultimately the only way, and we can kind of end this unless you'll have more. The only thing I say is ultimately you're right. This needs to be a simpler streaming model, even if it's annoying. But it's like,
well,
I don't know, dude. $10 a month for every year or whatever. $15 a month.
Saying why they wouldn't want to own the entire.
Because it costs a lot of money. They don't have to, because they have to do more. Like they have to now basically
gives them more
ESPN
control over their own narratives, right? Though is the way I see it, which is something I would think all of these owners would give a shit about.
Sports fans control narratives as much as the media. Like fans just talk and what buzzes buzz. I don't know that there's a lot you can do to control it other than dance for the cameras like Jerry. Like it's just pretty much. I
mean, the Cowboys do plenty of self-editing with their Blue Star videos, and
yeah, but even Blue Star is not
like sounds of the sideline does not come out after you lose.
So yeah, those are good examples. But if you actually follow a lot of Blue Star, those guys rip into them after losses. Those guys break like they're very realistic about the players and stuff. They're realistic about expectations. They may say it nicer, but but they share a lot of the same concerns as any Cowboys fan does. It's just, usually other than like Bill Jones, you know what I mean? Bill Jones is definitely still in the old ones, the really old ones, but all the youngsters and the ex-players. Yeah, no, Mickey Spagnola, if any of those guys are on there, yeah, that's propaganda. But anyway, so yes, obviously this stuff is it's interesting. I think it's going to continue to happen because kids are always going to be really smart about this, and they're primarily who's going to not be able to afford this. Like adults will be able to prioritize and afford sports or whatever streaming service they want if they so badly want it, for the most part. People might start getting more picking and choosing soon, but
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting to that point where streaming and cable are not that different anymore, right? Because it's like, all right, you can buy this cable package and get all these channels for this price, and now it's like, well, look at all these streaming services that have all just kind of branched out from each other.
I think as long as they're not insane on the family sharing stuff, like they've been known to get into, especially Netflix, that will probably help a lot, because I think for like my situation, we can sort of help ourselves out. You know what I mean? Like somebody has this subscription, someone has this subscription, and then you kind of piece it all together because family sharing pretty much allows you to do that. Now, that's not cheap necessarily, and especially like YouTube TV, where you might be in two different locations. Like they will jack you up on all of those prices they can, right? But ultimately, some people will be able to piece together these streaming services as a family unit for the most part, And so as long as I think that they keep away from the family sharing crackdowns, I think the streaming services will win,
I feel like they're going to be a little too gritty on that one, Gotta put your money on them being too gritty.
They're already doing quite well.
Yeah. But
soon they're going to keep pushing to do better, kind of as in the whole world is going. There's just a tighter and tighter chokehold, and we see what the breaking point is at some point, probably at similar times. But I think it's probably good for us to move on to what is probably the bigger story, at least the more it feels like I don't know.
Maybe just
potentially bigger story. This could be something that's remembered forever kind of thing, depending on what happens. So Pablo Torre this morning releases an expose.
Maybe the longest Pablo Torre finds out yet.
There, if it's not full expose regarding the LA Clippers corporation, I guess, or a company called Aspiration. I don't know what they were filed as.
So yeah, they were a different company working alongside. Like they had like a sponsorship deal in place with the Clippers. Like they were supposed to be.
I know that they're a separate thing. Right, I just don't know how they filed themselves.
Specifically, I forgot. I think they were. He was an LLC. I don't remember what they were. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, they're just a corporation probably. And Kawhi Leonard. So I'm gonna hand this one off to you with a more clear view of what the heck's going on. Mostly my exact history of Kawhi isn't. Once he left, I stopped keeping track. So,
well, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, just like many of the players of his era, chose to use his power to dictate his terms in his career, and that was not particularly well perceived in San Antonio because for a lot of reasons.
As far as in those moments, there are obviously Spurs fans who were upset with him, but mostly Uncle Dennis, and that was the face of the operation.
Uncle Dennis, we've probably learned from all of this, is no less a part of it, the right-hand man. But it does feel a bit more like the vice president situation.
Now this feels different.
With Uncle Dennis, because obviously, like, Kawhi would have had to play a part in this I think he had to have been fairly knowledgeable of a lot of what's going on here.
Unless he's gonna Ohtani style will be like, oh no, this guy's forging my.
I mean, it is. Well, yeah, I don't think he'll go that far. But so let me give some more backstory. So, Aspiration was supposed to be this tree planting thing. It ends up basically
it's like an environmental and financial services company.
Right. It's basically it's a scheme in my, it was
legally a scheme now.
Legally a scheme. It was, yeah, that's fair. It ends up filing for bankruptcy, and they're allowed then to get all of the documents for this company, more or less. In doing so, they're able to more or less tie Kawhi Leonard's contract and his negotiations, both in the 2019 free agency period and in subsequent re-ups with the Clippers, or one re-up, I guess, at this point. They sort of, I think, pretty much paint that picture as clearly as it needs to be. The backstory on this firm is an interesting one because it's a couple of real establishment Democrat types who tried to sort of they come up from the Clinton era. They're trying to make their name for themselves. Doesn't quite work in a couple of facets. We'll get into that a little bit later more. But they're really going full in. They got Robert Downey Jr. making ads for them. They got Leo, and they got
just to explain,
Drake.
Their whole bit was that they were gonna plant trees.
Yeah, they were gonna plant trees.
That's
and
it.
I guess it's and really you should watch the show to get the full nitty gritty details of this because it paints a very fun picture of white collar crime. If you're a fan of the show The Wire, it does the Lester Freeman bit. They start with a very minuscule offense, you would think. And then it basically introduces me, at least. I had not heard of this, even though I'm not surprised in the least bit, to the concept of Project 2029, which couldn't be any cringier if it tried. But of course, like I just told you, two Clinton-era establishment Democrats are behind this. So please don't be surprised by this. This is quite literally what they do. They don't read the moment at all and badly copycat something that's really awful and is probably going to be remembered as being really awful, and you're just going to copycat it. But no, we're going to do it good this time. Like, even if Project 2029 was the greatest idea of all time, my God, is that the worst way to sell it to me right now?
It's been the DNC's problem for a long time now. So
Jesus, man. So yeah. Incredibly annoying from a political angle, but that's really all the meat for the political angle as I had. I was just cracking up that it did end up getting there by the end of the show.
For now, who knows what else is uncovered in some of those documents.
And that's fair. We'll stick to the sports on this one because it is more interesting from a sports perspective. What this assumedly does is paint Kawhi Leonard as being paid off by the Clippers, who I believe Ballmer gave to this organization. He was he also
donated at least $50 million to it.
Right.
And then the Kawhi side is Kawhi signed an endorsement contract to be paid
like Drake, like
$28
Leo, like
cash.
RDJ.
Except his was built without. It was basically like, you are a sponsor of this company, and we're going to ask you to do stuff, but you can say no to anything you want.
I believe it was a picture a month, and he didn't even do that.
Well, he had an out to not have to do anything if he didn't want to.
Yeah. He just basically had to stay a Clipper was really the only rule. And that actually, some people on Twitter got into the discussion here and added some context, which I think is good. That's not too uncommon in athlete sponsorship contracts, but obviously that's an outlier just because this whole thing is an outlier.
But so you mentioned they have all these other celebrities who are paid something to do commercials, to do this and that. Kawhi's paid significantly more than any of them to not have to do a single thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the meat and potatoes on it. And
it led a lot of people to wonder, what the fuck? Like, how often has this been done? Jalen Brunson got his name thrown into it just for taking a team friendly this offseason.
We might talk about that in a second. But I've always growing up around here, you've got Cuban, you've got Jones. You're like, why aren't these guys doing this?
Well, and you also have Bill Simmons, who has joked for a long time about Mark Cuban buying the rights to Dirk Nowitzki's life story right after the championship when Dirk took less money to stay.
Yeah.
So you probably have a long culture of this, similar to the first time that we all, as children, at least I think my age, I think older people too, watched Pony Excess. the documentary about SMU,
Yeah.
and you were like, oh, so that's how it works.
Well, I feel like
And
that
then
was
you-
always like, we all know they just got caught.
Exactly, but we had never, until someone had gotten caught, we had not actually known how it worked that well or that
Okay,
precisely. And so for SMU, it was like, oh shit, okay, now, and then obviously that story took place in the 70s, so you would just apply it to whatever time, and then now we have NIL, and it's all on record for the most part, I guess. That might be a little sketchy as we go, but
There's at least an avenue to put it on the record.
yeah, it's a little bit closer. So yeah, it's a strange one. I guess now we're interested in the NBA. They have said that they're going to review it. That has already come out today.
So they did do an investigation previously during that original free
Right.
agency for Kawhi, because the Raptors said
The
Kawhi's people
Raptors
basically straight up asked them to circumvent the cap for him.
Then you actually just hit another nugget I need to talk about. So many people have been emboldened
The
by
Denver
this rumor.
Nuggets. Sorry.
So many people have been emboldened by this rumor. We have heard, and now not Lakers people, because it is funny because the Lakers thing is so loud.
They had already said something about it too, hadn't they?
Yeah, so the Lakers people are so loud about all this stuff that they kind of get lost in the ether. So I will give them credit. A lot of this stuff had already been populating in Lakers circles for years. But even I, who I think I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I've had to watch a lot more Lakers in the LeBron years than ever before, I wasn't going to, I thought they're just, being petty about the Clippers thing. It's just
Maybe
pettiness.
it seems like
Clippers.
that seems like something where you could be, sued for some kind of libel or whatever.
Exactly.
So for Jeannie Buss to actually publicly say that they did that should have rang more true to all of us.
Jeannie comes out and leaks. I think she leaked the story though. I don't know if they credited the Buss story. I think we assumed that it was the Busses because it's easy to figure out leaks a lot of times. Yeah. And then I think it was a lot of the bloggers who basically and I do remember when that free agency went down. I remember everyone was pretty sure Kawhi Leonard was going to sign with the Lakers and do the trio with LeBron and AD, who had just been traded there. But the Clippers trade SGA and 5 first-round picks for Paul George, and then all of a sudden, Kawhi Leonard to the Clipper.
Probably flies under the radar in the story, but shouldn't. The fact that SGA actually is involved in a trade in this story, future Finals MVP and
Finals MVP, yeah.
And then I can't remember who the clip they played was of them mispronouncing his name, talking about the trade, breaking the trade or whatever on ESPN probably.
Yeah, so it was, and I remember Shea was an interesting prospect. He had a tough year at Kentucky, and then he ended up sliding to the middle of the first round for no good reason other than just people thought that. I think it was after Michael Carter Williams had already happened, and there was a little too much similarity, and I think that fucked him. But yeah, incredible basketball player. Long story short, they made a poor call on that. But they got the guy, and it seems like they got the guy over the Lakers, especially because maybe they couldn't or they wouldn't match the thing. And then now the Raptors also claim that Uncle Dennis tried the same tactics with them. My guess is also that this may have played into why San Antonio was not why they kind of quickly wanted out. He was
asking us for some weird stuff too, if I remember correctly.
And I'm sure he did, but at the end of the day, I bet that just didn't even. I mean, I would be shocked because sometimes some of going stuff, that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's just not. It just doesn't fit. They're almost built to begrudgingly not do this for as long.
Yeah,
as
what
possible.
I'm saying is he asked for stuff, and they were like, "All right, we'll just get you out of here."
Yeah, no, exactly. So,
but it is weird. You would
there was also
you might think they'd file an anonymous report to the NBA about it.
We can't forget the knee management part because the Spurs have had a very nice team for a very long time. They put a lot of money into all that. So I do believe they were pissed off with how much Kawhi was willing to play on his knee, as we've seen over the last few years. So I do think that ultimately was more than Uncle Dennis and it even was in the negotiations with continuing to be a San Antonio Spur. And maybe he was just always needing to go to Los Angeles and it was always going to be that way. I think that's also fair. But ultimately, that is I think the Spurs really didn't like the injury.
Some of the early rumors there were that Uncle Dennis was demanding a front office job. And this is
with San Antonio.
Yeah. I can't remember the
San Antonio / Austin. It's the same place. Haven't you heard?
What?
Brian Windhorst and the gang have been doing a hell of a job trying to drum up attention to their podcast during the dull days this year. They've done a particularly good job. I just want them to say, because I haven't been listening, but yet I had little nuggets of the Hoop Collective popping out here and there, and I'm cracking up.
Okay. I didn't know that was his podcast. I've heard the name of it, but
and so they made a comment about how I was just out there driving. There's not, Austin and San Antonio are basically the same city.
There's no way they said that in earnest. Come on.
So he lives in. I do know. I listened to that show enough to know he lives in Omaha, Nebraska. So I don't know. Maybe being in Nebraska and things are so far apart that he's just
any
like
city.
It is an hour out. It really isn't far.
It's a little bit more than an hour. It depends
on where you are in Austin, but it is basically an hour. It's really not hard. It's just the highway, and it's really not too bad to get down to.
I was thinking the last time I did it was from Houston to.
And I think what Brian Windhorst might also be pointing out is there's more in between the two than ever before, right? Just like a lot of Texas.
Yeah, DFW is that way, and also the places he's going to are not. He's not going to taco trucks.
Yeah, and it's
so
also
he's just going to the nice. He's going to nice places no matter where he goes. It's like
yeah.
The Four Seasons.
It's like
not
to get too Texan-y here, but it's probably like off Mopac up in North Austin area that he's
the domain,
and then he's just jumping down south to San Antonio on Mopac and all that shit. So yeah, I'm sure that's probably what he's doing. But
something I'm interested in here, possible penalties. I'll start with the funniest one I've heard, which is they lose draft picks and then those become prizes in the in-season tournament.
Oh, honestly, we have not thought enough about forfeited picks being up for grabs.
Hunger Games, some of this stuff, dude. Let's go.
We have not actually. That might be my favorite.
You want to make that tournament matter? Give fans a fucking extra second round pick.
Honestly though, so Joe Smith. We do have this has happened.
This is Minnesota, right?
Minnesota destroyed the KG era, like literally destroyed it over attempting to sign Joe Smith illegally.
On a much smaller scale than this, right?
In a smaller scale, well, both in money and terms, but yes.
Mostly because, their owner didn't have Steve Ballmer money.
Inflation, all that jazz. Joe Smith cost them 5 first-round picks, more than all the rest of the other financial burden. 5 first-round picks. David Stern was not fucking around with that.
And what did they do exactly to do that? Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact terms of Joe Smith's deal. I think that they were I think it was just a bunch of bullshit, though. I have read this, but it has been a minute. Long story short, though, we are now trying to figure out what Adam Silver's response is going to be. Adam Silver is sort of a laissez-faire guy. At least that's how the people look at him. Most people don't think he'll be as harsh as 5 first-round picks. Some people may even are already joking that he'll make them do a halftime show with Mr. Beast as their penance. But I don't know. I think that ultimately Adam's probably going to come down fairly hard on this, but I do think it'll be a little in the middle because I think even like Stern would have, you adapt to the times. And I do wonder if part of this, seeing as guys like Mark Cuban are so quick to defend Ballmer, and other people are comparing it to other situations where this has happened, potentially. I think there was one with the Patriots and Brady that people were bringing up today. And these are things that maybe the league looks at and they say, okay, we have to do something. We have to react. but we're not going as hard as 5 first-round picks because we don't believe this is as sinister as many people. We feel like it's more commonplace, and maybe there is.
We don't need more coming out,
right? And maybe that's the situation.
Because you don't want Ballmer to fire back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve Ballmer's and the Clippers are in a tough position where obviously if you take their first-round picks away, you're taking picks that are like a decade away at this point. You're already talking about it.
Don't they have other people's picks right now? A couple of
they might. Yeah, they might be able to spare a pick here and there.
Yeah, it's possible some might turn into picks, but
obviously when you trade as many picks as they did, you still owe a few. I know they've cashed in a couple.
Did Joe Smith get in any trouble for signing?
I don't think Joe Smith did. I think Joe Smith's career was pretty fucked after that because that year had just sort of been a very strange one, and then he sort of becomes a journeyman.
I was just wondering, if Kawhi gets any kind of punishment for.
I mean, yeah, maybe just to make sure that, no, honestly, just.
I mean, all you're really doing is helping them if you let them be suspended for 2 weeks and just rest up. So
yeah, suspend him, but then the suspension with Kawhi could be hard to enforce, right? So, when does it actually come into play? So I think it's interesting, but I'm not as convinced it's as big of a bombshell. I'm interested in Adam's response. Maybe I'm wrong. I was pretty wrong about an NFL trade that we're going to talk about later. So life comes at you fast, but ultimately I feel as if this is going to be a very middle ground response from the NBA. I feel like we're probably going to see the Clippers pissed off with the result of that, but not too frisky because, again, they probably will realize that. But the funniest joke of all this, and I do want to turn it back into a bit of a joke, because ultimately this is just a bunch of good old-fashioned white-collar crime. And if we're talking about the crime that's affecting America the most, this is a good subject point. But since we're not really ready for that conversation yet, I think that at this point, we laugh it off. I don't think we are. I don't think the world is anywhere near that at the moment. I think at this point we laugh it off to some extent. The Clippers will move forward, and I hope that James Harden does. Can you
imagine, maybe getting the biggest crime or the biggest penalty in sports history to never win anything?
Yeah, I mean that is a lot of this for the Clippers fans here, right?
Which I guess SMU got that.
The Clippers fans were enjoying their first off season with barely any injury conversation, and then whammo.
So lastly, we've seen clips of Pablo today on Dan Patrick, and we've seen him talking a bit, I guess, on Blue Sky. It sounds like the Jalen Brunson thing might be coming up. It sounds like Mark Cuban is interested in talking to him about some of this, whether that be Kawhi, Jalen Brunson, or any other thing Mark Cuban may want to talk about, or Pablo might want to ask him about.
There's some stuff with Mark for sure. There's a laundry list. You could probably just do a whole episode with Mark on Mark, on who Mark really is or who he isn't.
We'll never actually know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what comes of this. When you dropped that first NFLPA story, we didn't know there was a second one coming. So who knows what else he might already be working on.
No, true. And again, just incredible job by the GOAT take artist himself, Bill Simmons, for creating the monster that we see before us today.
It's the kayfabe. Pablo's like, look, I got all these bullets loaded.
It's incredible, man. Billiam has spoken some funny things into existence. This might be his masterpiece, though.
All right. Well, go watch Pablo Torre Finds Out because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll get into quickly here, hopefully, some really quick year in review.
Yeah, I mean, year in review isn't going to be as bad. So I did want to address a couple things that we haven't talked about.
Are the playoffs starting?
The playoffs are about to start. That's why I was at. You put this in a week before I was going to, but I figured out we'll just do the review and then next week we'll talk the playoffs.
I just threw in WNBA because I figured you would have something to say about it.
Yeah, so we'll do 3 things about this year that we need to talk about. The dildo thing. That has bled over to, I believe, Major League Golf.
It happened at a Vikings-Titans preseason game.
Vikings-Titans preseason, but football did sort of start this, but I think Bills fans were not on this wavelength.
No, those were just
No.
Bills fans.
Have you guys heard anything more about where this came from, why this is? I mean, I'm
I
sure you
still
can
don't know if
understand
I-
why the WNBA was targeted.
I still don't know if I really buy into this like Twitter Spaces group.
Oh,
It's
you
like-
don't? They also had a Telegram, a Discord.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're crypto.
What I
They're
think
crypto
is
bros.
It might be that my better theory was that someone did it and then other people were like, let's start a group and start doing it. I don't know if they were
Well,
actually the first.
So
I'm thinking more of
someone
the
has
first
taken
one's
credit.
like Joaquin
Someone has taken
Phoenix, Arthur
credit
Flex, Joker.
So someone has taken credit for this on one of these chat rooms.
Yeah, I
and
know.
They claim that this is all where it goes. And there is someone non-affiliated with this that has done it. But they claim that is the copycat, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So we'll see what all the I actually don't think we'll see. I think everyone's kind of done with the story because it's a crypto
NFL starting.
marketing.
We'll see what happens week 1 of NFL.
Yeah, I mean, if they keep it going, I guess, but it's for crypto marketing. They targeted the W because they knew the W is a very divisive
I guess my biggest question about
subject
that
online.
is how do they get the marketing if no one knows who they are? It's just a dildo.
I understand, but that it's
It's a little
cryptocurrency.
like-
You're not arguing with logical
Step
humans.
Step 1, throw dildo. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit.
You're arguing with guys who are just now making back the money they lost on apes and pictures of apes that look like Jimmy Fallon in
Oh, the Nazi
2022.
apes, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a funny community, but I'm not surprised there. It's just, I think I'm so happy that it happened in Major League Golf. I think for the PGA to have to deal with that was the best part. They just kicked it in the sand and then someone got it later. It's hilarious. Paige Beckers, that would be the most important thing.
Big buckets.
Before we get to her team is one loss away from setting the single season loss record. Shout out to the Dallas Wings.
We getting another number 1 pick.
Probably not, but they are going to probably have the worst record in WNBA history by the end of the season, most likely.
No, let him have the number 1 overall pick again. You know,
the
it's still
Paige-
dynasty.
The one game I saw was real rough.
Yeah. Paige is averaging 19 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. These are
That 5
astonishing.
That 5 assists is crazy given what I saw from the rest of that team.
Exactly. Actually,
Yeah.
This is the quote that I pulled for this. Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve, Minnesota Lynx, maybe should have won last year, very likely to win this year. That's their head coach. Cheryl Reeve's been in the game for a while. She learned how much the team needs her to take shots. It's almost like Fee, talking about her player, Nafisa Collier, in 23, when we were like, you got to go take 20 shots and you got to figure out how to get them off. So that's just where we're at in the process. It's been fun. It's mostly interesting because, and this ties in the third point as we finish it, the dominant Lynx, the Liberty, and the Indiana Fever, the next 2 teams people would consider on that championship level. The Aces obviously still in that conversation as well. They're a little older. They've been mostly injured, sitting most of their best players. Caitlin Clark has played very little of this season.
Mm-hmm.
W ratings are still up. Interesting things on a couple of fronts there. We'll see how the playoffs go. It does look like we will see the return of White Jesus by the playoff time, so the Fever will have what they need. I think they lost Sophie Cunningham though to an ACL tear, so there is some legitimate issue there for them long term. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. The Minnesota Lynx are probably going to kick anybody's ass this year. So playoff time, we will talk more about the actual playoff bracket as it should be pretty much done. I think the next week it's the 11th. I think that the games start, the first playoff games are. So we'll record the day before that. And yeah, that'd be simple. We'll just go over the bracket then.
All right. With my last 30 seconds here, the Rangers AAA lineup has won like 12 of 14 games, and they might still be competing, and we'll talk about it more if they win more this week.
They even won a fucking Patrick Corbin batting practice game.
Hey, Diamondbacks.
Oh, and Diamondbacks have taken 2 of the 3, unfortunately.
That's
now. Wyatt Langford.
Yeah, there's some good on there. There's a lot of guys
good.
hurt, and
Wyatt Langford.
might earn more
Wyatt
time
Langford.
later.
No, I'm just really excited that he's playing well. Oh, no, one more thing. Do you think we're going to have to pick the auction up on Jock now because he's playing well?
Please no.
No.